Hey guys, it's Fraser here, and in this episode of our Python SQLite tutorial series, we are going to insert data into the database that we made last episode by importing the data from a CSV file. The benefits of this method is that existing data can be imported into the database, and that data does not have to be entered manually. Okay, so first things first, here is the CSV file that we are going to be importing. As you can see, we have the different fields separated by commas, and the types of fields lines up with those in our database. Okay, so if we look at the contents of the database in the database browser application, so I'll just open this up and then I will open database and then I will navigate to where we have it. So it is on the desktop and then in this folder, and this is the database file now. And then if we go into the films table, and then you can see that we have all our fields here, and then if we go into browse data, you can see that right now we have no data in our fields. So let's go and change that. Okay, so now that we have our CSV file ready to be imported, let's go and create a new Python file. So go to File, then New File. And what we're going to save this file as is importing. And then from csv.py. And I'm just going to save it in the same folder as before. And so I'm going to click Save. And then what we're going to do first is import the SQLite3 library. So this is the exact same as what we did last episode. There we go. And then we're also going to import the CSV library. And this will help us deal with the CSV file and read from it. So let's go and create a connection next. So what we're going to do is do connection. And then we are going to call the SQLite3 connect method, and we're just going to pass in the name of our database, so that's films.db. Okay, so once we have the connection established, what we want to do is create a cursor object, and this, remember, allows us to execute the SQL code. So we're going to do cursor equals and then connection dot cursor. There we go. So now we have a cursor object set up. So next what we want to do is deal with the CSV file. So by doing that, we're going to open the CSV file in read-only mode. So we're going to do with and then open, and then we're going to pass in the name of the CSV file. So that for me is values.csv. And then we're going to do a comma, and then we're also going to specify that we want to read it only. So we're going to do an R for read only mode. There we go. And we're going to name this as file. And so now if we write file, we're referring to this values.csv file. And so next we're going to set up a variable called number of records to record the number of records which we have imported at the time. So we're just going to initialize this to 0. And next, after we've done that, we want to loop through each row in the file. So that's just going to be easy enough. We're just going to type for row in file. And then we're going to do, in fact, we're going to execute our SQL next. So we're going to do the cursor object and then call the execute method. And then we're going to pass in the SQL which you want to use. So to insert into a table, we want to do the insert into. And then we're going to specify the name of the table. Our table was called films table. There we go. And then next what we're going to do is open up some brackets, and then what we're going to do is type in these quotation marks separated by commas. And so these are meant to line up with the amount of different types of data which you have in our CSV file. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so we want 6 of these question marks. So 5 and then 6. There we go. Let me just change that. And so what this does, it automatically, in fact, I'll show you the next bit before we talk about that. So we're going to do row.split And then what this does, it splits up each row, so whenever it sees a comma, which is in between our different values here, it splits it up. And so what this will do, this will return an array of all of the different values which we have in here, and then it will insert all of the different values in the array into each of these quotation marks here. So that's just used to insert our kind of variables which we have from this row.split into the SQL code. And so next, after this, now that we have executed the code, what we want to do is commit it. So we're going to do connection, and then we're going to do .commit. And next, after that, we want to increment our number of records because we have just added a record to the table. So that by plus equals 1. And next, what we're going to do is we're just going to exit out of both the for loop and the with statement. And we're just going to close the connection. So we're going to do connection.close. That should close the connection for us. And after that, we just want to we want to let the user know that we finished. So we're going to do print. And then in this, we're going to enter, in fact, we're just going to do a \n just to move it down a line. And then what we're going to do is do records transferred. And then we're going to do, in fact, we've used these curly braces because we're going to just add in a variable into where those curly braces are. So we're going to do the number and number of records transferred to let the user know exactly how many records have been transferred. So we're going to do, after this, we're just going to do a dot format, and then we're going to enter the number of records. So no records. There we go. And then that should replace the value which is held in number of records into this string here. So it will replace these curly brackets so you won't see them when it appears in the code. So we just want to save the file now. And I'm just going to hit F5 to run it. And it says we have a syntax error. Let's just go and solve this. Okay, so the syntax error was just caused because I forgot to put this values after the films table in the SQL code. So now if I go back and, in fact, hit F5 now, you should see that the code runs and it says 4 records have been transferred. And so now if we go and open the SQL database and we refresh using this refresh button up here, you can see that now we have our 4 different records in the table. And as you can see that we have all of the different fields. So we have the film ID, title, year released, rating, duration, all of that. And if we check this with the values in the CSV file, you can see that they all match up. So we've got 001, Doctor Strange 2016, PG 130, everything is correctly entered. And so that is how you import data from a CSV into a database. So if you enjoyed the video and learned something from it, please leave a like, that would be great. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.